Hey guys, it's Katie with S&B, and today we're going to install our cold air intake on the 2011 to 16 LML 6.6 liter Duramax. So let's get started. So you're going to start by loosening these two hose clamps and then disconnecting the two sensors attached to the intake tube. To remove this sensor, you're just going to slide this clip back and then you can push down and remove. Now you can remove the stock intake tube from the vehicle. So in order to remove the stock airbox, we're going to have to remove this crossbar, and in order to get to that, we have to remove all these push rivets from the fan shroud. Remove this rubber hood seal so you can gain access to the bolts underneath it. Remove this bolt. Now you can remove this bolt and then remove the crossbar from the vehicle. So now that that is removed, you can then remove the stock airbox from the vehicle. Remove these 4 bolts that are securing the airbox tray to the vehicle. Once the bolts are removed, you can then remove the tray from the vehicle. In order to install the S&B airbox, we're going to want to move this coolant reservoir out of the way, so just go ahead and remove this bolt. So there's going to be another nut on a post back here that you're going to have to remove so you can move the coolant reservoir. Disconnect this line from the coolant reservoir. Remove these 3 bolts that are securing the rear crossbar. So next you're going to transfer both of these sensors onto the S&B intake tubes using the provided hardware. So make sure to install the MAF pad and gasket onto the intake tube. So now you can remove the sensors from the stock air box and install them onto the S&B intake tube. Install the silicone tube seal onto the S&B airbox. So now you need to decide if you want to install the optional silicone box plug. If you do, you can just install it from the inside of the box. So when installing the S&B airbox into the vehicle, you can move the coolant reservoir out of the way as you install it, and it'll just make it a lot easier. So once you have the airbox fully seated, you're going to take the screws that you removed earlier and reinstall them into the bottom of the airbox. Reinstall the screw and the nut that you removed earlier from the coolant reservoir. Loosely install the coupler onto the turbo inlet. Then you can slide on the clamps. So now you're going to slide the coupler as far as you can onto the intake tube, and then you can drop the air filter in the box, and then we'll install the intake tube onto the air filter. So after you have the intake tube installed into the air filter, just make sure that the orientation is going back towards the turbo inlet, and then you can tighten down the hose clamp. So now you're going to install the second portion of the intake tube. We'll start with the turbo inlet. And then we'll go ahead and slide this coupler over. So once you have the coupler fully slid over the second portion of the intake tube, you can go back in and tighten down the hose clamps. And then reconnect the sensors. So now you're just going to remove the protective layer from both sides of the clear lid and install it onto the lid seal, and then you can snap it on the airbox. So once you have the intake fully installed, you can then go back in and reinstall the crossbars. So reinstall the fender hood seal and then reclip the push rivets on the front shroud. All right, guys, so that is it. It is a super easy install, but if you have any questions or you just want to know more, you can always give us a call or check it out on our website, and I'll see you next time.